Hello, hello, good afternoon. It's Monica from Life is Art, and this is the Sunday 5 p.m. demo at the Dive Right In online crop. And we have had such a wonderful time hanging out over the last 4 days. We've been having a lot of fun during chat and craft times, and I've been taking a look at all your beautiful artwork that you guys have been creating, and it's just wonderful. It always inspires me, gets me excited. I'm already thinking about next month's crop. And so for our final demo of the weekend, we're going to be looking at the otter in my pocket. No, no, just kidding. I hope you guys saw that when you clicked on in. The topic for our demo is an otter in my pocket. And to create this project, I'm going to use a few things. I'm going to be using the Sea Turtle stamp set. And we have already used this before, but we're using it again because once you buy a tool, such as a stamp set, you want to use it multiple times and keep right on using it. So you can think of interesting ways to use it. Go right ahead and use it. We're also going to be using the mini alphabet dies, and these have come in quite handy for doing titles for layouts and things. So we're going to be using those. We're also going to be using um, the little album, the 6x8 album that Stampin' Up! Carries. And this is an album you can get with the pocket page inserts. So we're going to be making a double page layout using these. So I guess you're going to understand where there's an otter in my pocket is coming from. And so let's get started. I have a bunch of photos, and we were discussing during, I don't know whether it was last night or today, chat and craft, about the little zoo in Peterborough, Ontario. If you've ever been there, it's the Riverview Park and Zoo, and it's a really fun place, especially for younger children, because you can see the entire zoo in under like an hour, 2 hours. There's a train you can ride, and it goes around and even shows you the hydroelectric dam that's nearby. And there's a splash pad and a park and all sorts of things along with the animals. And it's not like going to the Toronto Zoo. It's a much smaller park and zoo than that, but lots of fun things. There's even an 80-foot slide for the kids to go down, which is the best thing to do right before you head home, because going down the 80-foot slide is fun, but they got to climb all the stairs back up and then go down again and then all the way. So by the time they get in the car to go home, they have a nice nap because they have pooped themselves climbing up all those stairs. Hey Diane, nice to see you're watching. If you're joining me live, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And if you're watching later on replay, you can just say replay. All right, so we've given a few moments for everybody to find us and get settled in. And so let's start creating. We're going to do a little bit of some stamping and inking to start. So I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper to work on. And I'm also bringing in a 6x4 piece of cardstock. Now I'm going to be using 2 pocket pages for this double layout. The first one is going to be, I gotta flip it the right way around because it's going to be the left side. It's 2 4x6 pockets. And then the other one that I'm using that will be on the right side is 4 3x4 pockets. Okay, so keep that in mind as we're creating. The first thing I want to do is to make a title for my page. And this is kind of a fun thing to do, to create something that's a 4x6 or a 3x4, because yes, you can use it in a pocket page. It can also be a card front. It could also be a nice little embellishment to go on a big layout. So, or a nice little thing to tuck in the pocket in a mini album. Not this kind of album, but you know, a different kind of mini album. I get this is a mini album too, but whatever. You know what I mean. You know, the ones that you make with all the flips and the flaps and the pockets and the things. So lots of uses. You can also pretend this is an ATC card or an artist training card to kind of give yourself the idea of what you're supposed to do with it. So we're going to create a nice little vignette on here, just like we did the other day. But this time we're just going to be using some ink. That's it, just some ink and stamps. Hey Heather, nice to see you're watching. So like I said, we're going to be using the sea turtle stamp set, and I know quite a few of you have this already, and some of you are excited to get it now that you've seen a few things done with it. So I'm going to give you another idea of something to do with it. And we're going to start out using the big stamp that's all kind of bubbly like this. And for this, I'm going to be using the Pretty Peacock ink. Just going to open that up. And we're going to do a little bit of ink blending and a little bit of ink stamping. So I think I'll start out with the ink blending, because if I make a boo-boo with my ink blending, I can always flip it over and use the other side. So I'm going to get some ink on my brush, and then I'm actually going to brush it off for a second onto my scratch paper, and then I'm going to come in onto my sheet of cardstock. And I'm going to start in the center, which is odd, I know. And then I'm just going to kind of work my way out to the sides like this. And I'm going to stop and put that aside, and we're going to do some stamping. Okay, so we're going to ink up our lovely, bubbly, inky stamp. And then we're going to come in and we're going to stamp off the side here, like so. Just going to stamp like that. Then we're going to ink up again. We're going to get lots of inky. We're going to turn our piece, and this is why we have our scrap paper, so that when we get inky goodness everywhere, it's not everywhere, it's contained. We're going to work our way around and make ourselves a fun little frame with all of these bubbly goodness. Now think about this. You could do this in different colors. This could be the background for, you know, washing the dog, the kids in the bathtub. What else could we have this the background for? It could be washing the car. It could be, you know, the overflowing washing machine. I don't know if that ever happens other than in the movies. Maybe let me know in the comments if you've ever had that, where the, you know, the washing machine bubbles and flows over. I've never had that particular problem before. And you see how sometimes I'm getting a little blank spots on the side? I just come along with my stamp later and just fill it in. These bubbles are very forgiving. So we're going to stamp that on there like that. We're going to grab a little bit more bubbles there. Stamp there, even if they overlap, it doesn't matter. And let me see, we're going to do a little bit more here to fill in that bit. And I think I want to try and fill in this little bit up here a little bit. We're just going to stamp right on there. Now I got a little excessive there with the stamping, but you get the idea that we're just going to go around and we're going to stampy, I'll leave that there, and create a fun frame all the way around. Now we can come back in with our brush. We're not even going to re-ink it. And all we're going to do is we're just going to kind of fill in those little nooks and crannies. I'm not going to the edge. I kind of like how white and foamy it looks around the edge. A little bit of bubbles, a little bit of action happening in the water. So there we go. Now we're also going to grab from that stamp set, the sea turtles, the little school of fishes. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp some fishes, but where did I put it? We're going to do second generation stamping because we like doing that. So we're going to ink up our fishes. We're going to stamp them off. And then we're going to go ahead and stamp some fishes. And they're just kind of in the background, in the back of the murky water, swimming around in their little school. Easy peasy, enjoying life. And let's come in from this side. We'll stamp a few more. I love how it looks like they're just off in the background, having a time. There we go. That's totally simple. And there we have created our background for our title. Scooch all these things out of the way. What do you think of that? Creating that fun little vignette. And all it took was a little bit of ink, a little bit of stamping, a little bit of fishies, a little bit of bubbles. And I think that looks so fun. All right, to this, we are going to add some letters. And I have the letters that spell out. I'm going to do this because, see, I always practice ahead of time. I've got Riverview Park Zoo, and it's not going to transfer nicely. All the best laid plans, right? It's got them on there. It's good enough. R-I-V-E-R. I can spell. This is why it's always good to lay it out, to make sure you spelt it right before you come in with the glue. And I decided to use black letters for this so that it kind of looks silhouetted, like it's almost a sign on the outside of an aquarium. It gives that kind of fun glow coming from behind. Z, O, O. All right. Now, we're going to start gluing these down. And you know me, the easiest way, tweezers and liquid glue. Let me line this up. And I put the liquid glue right on my hand like that. R-I-V-E-R. The R is in the center. And I've got my piece of paper lined up here with the center line. So I'm going to put my R right on the center. And I tap in the glue, then I tap off so there's not an excess of glue. And then we can just go ahead and stick them on. If you don't like the feel of glue on your hand, you can always wear a glove. Or you could put it on the craft sheet, the Stampin' craft sheet, because that's good for using with adhesives like the tear and tape and the runner. Now we're going to work backwards from the center, and this is also why we need to lay this out, because I'm not good at spelling backwards. So if they're already laid out, you just go one by one all the way across. I could have done some fun inking on these letters too if I wanted to, you know, that multicolor inking that we did. We could have done all sorts of things, but we're going to stick with this. Now, what I want to do is there's almost the same number of letters down here for Park and Zoo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the same spot as the beginning of the word. Oops. And put this first word on. Like so. Need more glue. There we go. I'm just putting a very little bit of glue on there. It takes a lot less glue than you think. And you're tapping on, tapping off, park. And then I'm going to skip the and I'm going to go to the zoo. We've actually got one less digit. Is that the word? One less thing down here than up there. but we have the and it's 2 words. So what we're going to do is we're going to work from each side and try to line them up. Sometimes I should just do it wonky on purpose. I think I'm going too far up now. I was going too far down, now too far up. We're going to say it's wonky. And the and can just be centered in the gap that's left over. Unless you're like a perfect person, you're never going to get that to line up exactly. So you're better off just to wait till the end, and then you know how much space to leave between your 2 words if you just work in from either side. So there was 1 less. So up here I think it was 9, down here it was 8, and that gives us the room for our space. So it's good to kind of think about that before you start gluing things down. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to work on another element for our page. Pardon me. Yes, Diane's like, you have an extra 1 less letter and a small space on either side. Exactly. To do a little bit of interactive something on my page, to make it a little bit more than just things in pockets, we're going to stick something in a pocket that's interactive. So I have with me a piece of paper that is 3 inches by 8 inches. And I'm just going to grab my scoreboard. I'm going to line it up here along the 8-inch side. And I'm going to score it in the center at 4 inches. This is a very simple way to add an interactive element to a pocket page. Now, you have to take into account which side of the page your openings are on. And so for me, my pocket page that has the 3x4s is going to be on the right-hand side. If I fold this in half with the bump side to the inside, I need to make sure that I can actually tuck this in the pocket, because what I want to do is to take this folded piece and tuck it in the pocket so that I have an outside flap. And then this is going to be a lift. How cool is that? Super simple, but it won't work if my pocket page is on this side, because there's no openings on this side for the pockets. So you have to think about that. Now, this side of the page will always have the pocket opening. So even if it was the 4x6s or the 6x4s, I could have a large pocket that flapped. So, or you need to do your pockets. I suppose you could cut the pocket page. I wouldn't recommend it. Sometimes we do, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, on the inside of this, what I want to do is I want to leave some spot for journaling. So this spot here is going to be for my journaling. And in the bottom, I'm going to put this picture of the otters. Look at all 3 of them are just like tumbling and rolling around and having a great old time. Let me grab my adhesive. We're going to add this to the inside. This is also a great way to include anything that is ephemera. Remember, we were talking about ephemera the other day, and about how we have found ephemera. That's not just things we purchase, in a kit with ephemera. We actually have found ephemera. So if we had a ticket for attending the zoo, you can put that in here. You can make a little spot for it to tuck in, and then this would keep it from falling out of the pocket. You could add a brochure. So if you have your pocket like this and you've got a tall brochure like this, you could just stick the brochure right in like that, and then it can be taken out and looked at, right? And if it's a big brochure, you can put it on the other side where there's a big wider pocket. You can even put a whole bunch of stuff sticking out of the pockets. It's amazing what you can do with a pocket page. So we're going to leave this blank for our journaling, but we want to add a little bit of something to the outside of this. So I have got the 6x6 Regals DSP. And that's a fun collection, just like the neutrals. Let me just kind of bring it here so you can see. And there are 4 different patterns for each color. So there is a leafy one, and then there's a stripe, there's this geometric shape, and there's the circles. And it's every single color in the Regals collection, and you get a couple of each. I don't have a couple of each in here because I've separated some out for crop prizes. So some of you might win a set of all the colors of those Regals 6x6 DSP. But they're fun for just adding in a little extra color. And of course, I used the pretty peacock so that it would matchy-matchy with our nice little title that we made for the other side of our layout. So I've got a piece that I've cut to 3 inches by 4 inches, and we can just go ahead and add that on here. But maybe before I do, because this is a little flappy, I can stick it on now. I was going to say that's a little flappy, because that's what it's supposed to do, be a flap. I'm going to stick this on, and then we're going to do a little decorating on it. There we go. And I'm going to open it up to do this so that it's not bouncing around. So I have also cut out some white letters. And I hopefully didn't just drop one on the floor. If I did, we'll have to get it. And so I decided to cut out a little bit of a sort of commentary on what's going on the page. So I've got Otter, play, if I can pick them up, play, yes, I did drop one. Okay, you're going to have to bear with me for a second while I find where it fell. It's a little T. There it is. There are a few little scrappy bits on my floor right now from all of the crafting going on this weekend. I need to bring the broom in. All right, so we're going to do Otter playtime. So let's just kind of line them up. Play will be kind of in the middle, and then time be down there. Looks good. Okay, let's do our same technique. Who else does the glue on their hand now that they've seen it happen? Has anybody tried it? Our T is going to be in the center. We'll pretend that's the center. E. Heather puts the glue on her hand. Yay! I knew I'd converted some people. And do you find it works well, Heather? I mean, I guess if you use it, it works, because if it didn't work, you'd be like, forget that. I'm not getting gooey for nothing. I find that it works really good. It seems to be quick. If I had to sit here with the bottle and try to stick each, glue each thing and then stick it down, I would never get done. It would take me so long. And that A I started just to the side of the T above. Heather says it works fine enough. That's good enough for me. The reason I use that part of my hand is that I figure there's very low risk of me sticking glue onto random things, because it would be very awkward to take my hand and like stick it down. So if I put it here, it's okay. You just have to remember, don't put your hand in your pocket or something until you've wiped it off. And if you don't wipe it off, it'll just dry, and then you can peel it off like the kindergarten kids do and be like, ooh, my skin's coming off, Of course, I say kindergartners. It wasn't me just, yesterday. Otter playtime. And I've got a bunch of photos. Now, I have another tip for you. Okay. So I took my kids to the Riverview Park and Zoo. We've probably been there 4 times. We had Justin's birthday there one time with the family, and they've just gone for different things. We've met friends there, but we haven't been there since Julia was very little. She was probably 3 the last time we were there. So, I don't necessarily have a lot of photos of the otters. I do have this fun picture of Julia checking out the otters. She was quite mesmerized. It took a long time for her to come out of this little spot where you can kind of go inside and watch them through this viewing area. And she spent a lot of time in there, possibly because it was a bit chilly outside, and possibly because it did start to sort of rain at one point, because it was later in the year. It was in the fall, so she's wearing a warm coat. She's got a hat on. She may have been overdressed for the weather at that point, but you know, that's what she wanted to wear, so that's what she wore. So because I have one picture doesn't mean that I can't have more pictures, because like most places, the Riverview Park and Zoo has a website, and they have taken lovely photographs of their otters. And so I have an otter playing with a blue balloon, and I have an otter sitting, and you can see the waterfall in behind, and there's 2 otters up by the glass looking through, saying hello. And these are not photos I took, and I don't feel bad about using them, because I probably did take more photos of the otters than this one photo that I currently have available to me. And I also got this one off their website. Now, this one's a bit blurry, and that's why this is the one that's going inside the little pocket. So that's another thing. If you've taken pictures, and say it's somebody's birthday, and you've taken a few pictures, but there's that one person that only made it into one photo, but it's not a great photo, put it in something like this. It's still there. You can still acknowledge that they were there, but it doesn't have to be front and center on your layout. Okay, so that's my tip. If you've gone somewhere, maybe you even went to some place, it's a big touristy place, and it's just impossible to get a photo without like 100 people you don't know in the photo, go online, find the place, print off some photos. It totally works. You know, I went to France when I was a teenager, and all my photos are on film. Most of them were never developed. The film is probably shot. And I don't even know where it would be. I went online, I downloaded some photos of places that I visited, because I want to have that record of where I've been, but I don't have the photos I took. Now, I did buy 300 postcards. So I do have a few things to remind me of my trip. So let's put our photos in here. We're putting our otter in our pockets. And I kind of thought about where I was going to put these photos. So you'll notice the otter up here, he's looking that way. So he's going to go on the outside of the page. These 2 are kind of looking towards us. This one's going swirly, swirly. But I'm going to put these other 2 pieces beside, and I thought it was nice to have all my underwater ones down at the bottom, and then the above water ones up at the top. I thought about it, see? And then this one, Julia has her back to the camera, because she was not turning around for a photo for nothing, because she was having fun watching those otters playing in the water, and that, like, I had to practically pick her up and drag her out of there after like 45 minutes, because, you know, there was things to do and places to go and other people to hang out with. So there we go. We have completed our 2-page pocket page mini album 6x8 layout from the Riverview Park and Zoo. We used our sea turtle stamp set to create this fun little bit of a of a postcard almost, creating some lovely bubbles around here, just like you would see when the otters are playing and having fun. And even added some fish in. Otters eat fish. Why not? We'll put some fish in there. And we added our title on there with the mini alphabet dies, sticking our pockets into these pages, our pictures into the pockets. Yeah, otter in the pocket. And then, of course, we made a fun interactive spot with some room for some hidden journaling where I can write the story about Julia being mesmerized by the otters. I mean, who wouldn't? Otters are awesome. They're so cute and lovable and adorable. Then we've added on the Regals 6x6 DSP pack in the pretty peacock, just like we used for all our stamping over here. And then we added some white letters. So even we changed up our letters from side to side, but I think it looks lovely that way. I hope you enjoyed seeing this 2-page pocket layout come together and seeing how another way to use the sea turtle stamp set. I hope you enjoyed it. If you make a pocket page like this or use this sort of technique to create your own title or embellishment for your page, be sure to snap a photo of it and pop it in the comments when I post the pictures, and that way we can all see and be inspired by your art. Have a wonderful rest of the day. We'll be on at 7 o'clock for Chat and Craft, and keep in mind that the deadline for submitting games, challenges, and orders is not until Tuesday, because Monday is a holiday, so it's just gonna give you an extra day to do things. Have a wonderful rest of the afternoon. We'll see you soon. Toodaloo.